Jake Martinez wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the scanner display. After 15 years of salvage work in deep space, he thought he had seen everything. Broken satellites, crashed cargo ships, even the remains of old military vessels from the Mars conflict. But this was different. This was something that should not exist. "Captain, you need to see this," Lisa Thompson called from her engineering station. Her voice carried that edge of excitement that came with finding something valuable in the endless black of space. "The readings don't make sense." Jake pushed himself away from his chair and floated over to Lisa's workstation. The Liberty Bell was an old mining ship, built for function rather than comfort. Everything inside was metal and plastic, worn smooth by years of use. The crew of 12 had been working the asteroid fields near Kepler 442 for 3 months without finding anything worth the fuel costs. "What have you got?" Jake asked, looking over Lisa's shoulder at the instrument panel. Long-range sensors picked up a massive object about 2 million kilometers away. "But look at these readings." Lisa pointed to several displays showing energy, signatures, mass calculations, and composition analysis. "The thing is huge, bigger than anything we've ever seen, and the metal composition is completely unknown." Dan Kelly, their communications officer, looked up from his station across the cramped bridge. "I'm not getting any signals from it. No distress calls, no identification beacons, nothing. Whatever it is, it's been quiet for a long time." Jake studied the data more carefully. The object measured nearly 3 kilometers in length and showed a mass reading that seemed impossible for something built by human hands. The shape appeared sleek and curved, unlike the boxy designs of Earth's spacecraft. Most puzzling of all, the hull seemed to absorb most of their scanning attempts, revealing only basic information about size and mass. "Could be a new type of asteroid," suggested Rick Carter, the ship's security chief. He was a practical man who preferred simple explanations. "Maybe some kind of mineral formation that looks artificial on our sensors." Lisa shook her head. "The shape is too regular. And these energy readings, they're faint, but they're there. Something inside that thing is still powered up." Jake felt his pulse quicken. In salvage work, powered systems meant valuable technology. Even if the main ship was dead, individual components could be worth a fortune back on Earth. But something this large and unknown could be worth more than his entire crew had ever seen. "Amy, what do you think?" Jake asked their science officer, Amy Foster. She had joined the crew 6 months ago, fresh out of university with degrees in xenobiology and deep space archaeology. Most of the crew thought her field was a waste of time, since humans had never found any trace of alien life. But Amy believed they would eventually find something, and she wanted to be ready. Amy pulled up the sensor data on her own screen and studied it carefully. "The proportions are all wrong for human construction," she said slowly. "Look at these measurements. The corridors would be at least 4 meters high based on the hull structure, and the overall design follows patterns we've never used." "You think it's alien?" Dan asked with a laugh. "Come on, Amy. We've been looking for little green men for centuries. This is probably just some experimental ship that got lost." "Maybe," Amy replied, but her voice showed she wasn't convinced. "But if it is human-built, why isn't it in any of our databases? I've checked every ship design from the last 200 years. Nothing comes close to matching this profile." Jake weighed the options in his mind. Standard salvage protocol required him to report any unknown vessels to Earth Command before approaching. The paperwork alone would delay them for weeks, and by then other salvage crews might claim the find. On the other hand, Approaching an unknown vessel carried serious risks. "Lisa, what's our fuel situation?" he asked. "We've got enough for another month of operations plus emergency reserves for the trip home," Lisa answered. "If we're careful with our approach, we could reach that object and still have plenty left over." Jake looked around at his crew. These people had followed him through asteroid fields and radiation storms. They trusted his judgment, and he had never let them down. But this decision felt bigger than the usual salvage operation. "All right," he said finally. "We're going to take a look. But we do this smart. Lisa, plot a careful approach course. I want us to come in slow and keep our distance until we know what we're dealing with. Rick, make sure all our defensive systems are online. Dan, keep monitoring for any signals or changes in the object's status." The next 6 hours passed slowly as the Liberty Bell made its way toward the mysterious object. As they got closer, the sensors revealed more details. The ship, if that's what it was, appeared to be drifting without power. No lights were visible on its hull, and thermal scans showed it was nearly as cold as the space around it. But the most striking thing was its beauty. As the object resolved on their main view screen, the crew fell silent. The ship was like nothing they had ever seen. Its hull gleamed with a dark metallic finish that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The design was flowing and organic, as if it had been grown rather than built. Strange symbols covered sections of the hull, glowing faintly with their own inner light. "My God," whispered Amy. "It's magnificent." "It's also completely dead," Dan reported from his station. "No power signatures, no active systems. Whatever happened to this ship, it happened a long time ago." Jake ordered the Liberty Bell to match the object's trajectory and maintain a safe distance of 10 kilometers. From there, they could conduct detailed scans without risking a collision or triggering any automated defenses the ship might still have. The scans revealed a vessel unlike anything in human experience. The hull appeared to be made of a single continuous piece of metal, with no visible welding seams or construction joints. The design suggested advanced engineering principles that Earth scientists were only beginning to understand. "I'm detecting a breach in the hull," Lisa announced. "Section 7, near what looks like an airlock system. The hole is big enough for our shuttle to pass through." Rick immediately objected. "Captain, we don't know anything about that ship. It could be booby-trapped, or filled with dangerous radiation, or worse. Or it could be the greatest discovery in human history," Amy countered. "If this is really an alien vessel, we have to investigate. The scientific value alone would be immeasurable." Jake stared at the alien ship on the view screen. Every instinct told him to be careful, to follow protocol and report the find to Earth Command. But another part of him, the part that had driven him to become a salvage captain in the first place, wanted to know what secrets lay inside that beautiful, mysterious hull. "We'll take the shuttle over," he decided. "Small team only. Me, Lisa, Rick, and Amy. The rest of you stay here and monitor our progress. If anything goes wrong, you head straight back to Earth." As the crew prepared for the most dangerous salvage operation of their lives, none of them could imagine that they were about to discover something that would change the course of human history forever. 3 months had passed since the Zephyrian Empire took control of Earth. Lisa Rodriguez crouched in the ruins of an old subway tunnel beneath Chicago. The concrete walls were cracked and water dripped from the ceiling, but it was safe from alien patrols. Around her, 15 other humans sat quietly in the darkness, waiting for her report. Lisa had escaped from the prison camp 6 weeks ago. It had not been easy. The aliens used electronic collars to track their prisoners, but Lisa discovered that the devices stopped working near large electrical transformers. She used this weakness to slip away during a transfer between camps. Since then, she had been building something the aliens did not expect. A resistance network. The New York cell made contact yesterday, she told the group. They have 43 people now. The London group has 36. Moscow has 52. A man named Carlos Martinez spoke up from the shadows. He had been a sergeant in the army before the invasion. What about weapons? We cannot fight them with our bare hands. Lisa nodded. Danny Walsh in London found an old military depot the aliens missed. He got his hands on some rifles and explosives. Not much, but it is a start. She pulled out a hand-drawn map and spread it on the floor. The aliens are making a mistake. They think controlling the governments and major cities is enough. But they only have about 10,000 troops on the entire planet. Most of their control comes from fear, not actual force. An older woman named Patricia Bell leaned forward. She had been a police detective before the invasion. What about the collaborators? Half the human politicians are working with them now. Lisa's face grew hard. We deal with them too. People need to know that helping the aliens has consequences. The resistance had already started targeting human collaborators. Nothing violent yet, just warnings and small acts of sabotage. But Lisa knew it would escalate. In war, there were no neutral sides. A young man named Tommy Kim raised his hand. He had been a computer programmer before the invasion and was now their communications expert. I intercepted some alien transmissions yesterday. They are planning something big, something called the Improvement Program. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of improvement? I could not translate all of it, but it involves genetic modification. They want to change human DNA somehow. The group fell silent. Genetic modification could mean anything from making humans sterile to turning them into alien slaves. Either way, it was bad news. We need more information, Lisa decided. Tommy, keep monitoring their communications. Carlos, I want you to scout the alien facility in the old IBM building. Patricia, see if any of your police contacts know what is happening there. The meeting broke up, and the resistance members slipped away into the tunnel system. Lisa remained behind with one other person, Dr. Peter Kane. The scientist had joined their group 2 weeks ago after escaping from an alien research center. Lisa, I need to tell you something, Peter said quietly, about what I saw at their facility. Peter was a tall, thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. Before the invasion, he had worked for NASA studying quantum physics. The aliens had captured him early and forced him to work on their projects. They are not just studying us, he continued. They are afraid of us. Lisa frowned. Afraid of humans? That does not make sense. Peter pulled out a small device that looked like a modified smartphone. I built this while I was their prisoner. It measures quantum energy patterns. Every living thing produces these patterns. But humans are different. He showed her the screen. Strange waves moved across it like a heartbeat monitor. Human brains produce quantum interference patterns that I have never seen before. The aliens. Technology relies on quantum fields for everything. Their computers, their weapons, their communication systems. Our thoughts can actually disrupt their equipment. Lisa stared at the device. Are you saying we can fight their technology with our minds? Not exactly, but close. When humans are stressed or angry or afraid, the interference gets stronger. The aliens know this. That is why they want to modify our genetics. They are trying to eliminate whatever makes our brains produce these patterns. This was the first good news Lisa had heard in months. If human thoughts could interfere with alien technology, maybe they had a chance after all. Can we use this as a weapon? Peter nodded slowly. I think so, but I need more equipment and more time to figure out how. Their conversation was interrupted by footsteps in the tunnel. Carlos Martinez came running back, his face pale with fear. Lisa, we have a problem. The aliens just raided the surface safe house. They got 6 of our people. Lisa felt her heart sink. The safe house was where they stored supplies and kept written records of all their resistance cells. If the aliens found those records, every resistance fighter in the city would be in danger. How did they find it? Carlos looked sick. Henry Mason. He was one of the people we were trying to recruit. He must have told them everything. Henry Mason had been a city councilman before the invasion. He had seemed like a good candidate for the resistance because he hated the aliens. But apparently, he hated prison more. We need to warn everyone, Lisa said. Send out the emergency signal. All cells go dark for 48 hours. The emergency signal was a simple system Tommy had set up using old radio equipment. 3 short beeps repeated every hour meant immediate danger. All resistance members were supposed to hide and break contact until the all-clear signal. Over the next 2 days, Lisa watched from hidden positions as alien troops searched the city. They had her people's photos and were checking every building, methodically. But the resistance had learned from the criminals and revolutionaries who came before them. They knew how to disappear. Most of the captured resistance fighters were taken to the alien facility in the IBM building. Lisa watched through binoculars as vehicles carried her friends inside. She recognized 2 of them, Maria Santos and Kevin Phillips, both good people who had joined the fight because they refused to live under alien rule. On the second night, something unexpected happened. Patricia Bell made contact using an old police radio frequency. Lisa, you need to hear this. I found one of my old informants. He works as a janitor in the alien facility now. He says the prisoners are not being executed. Lisa grabbed the radio. What do you mean? They are being taken to the upper floors. The aliens have some kind of medical equipment up there. The janitor says he sees the prisoners going in, but he never sees them coming out. This confirmed what Peter had told her about genetic modification. The aliens were not killing resistance fighters. They were experimenting on them. We have to get them out, Lisa said. Patricia's voice crackled over the radio. How? That building is like a fortress. They have guards, energy barriers, and God knows what else. Lisa looked at Peter, who had been listening to the conversation. The scientist nodded slowly. I know the layout, he said. I worked there for 2 months. There might be a way. The next morning, Lisa called an emergency meeting of all the cell leaders she could safely contact. Danny Walsh joined by encrypted radio from London. The Russian commander Alexei Petrov connected from Moscow. Similar resistance leaders from around the world shared information and plans. The aliens are not just conquering us, Lisa told them. They are trying to change us into something else. Every person they capture is another step toward destroying what makes us human. Danny's voice came through the static. We have been having the same problem here. They took 12 of our people last week. The facility in London is doing the same kind of experiments. Alexei's accented English was harder to understand, but his message was clear. In Russia, we lost 23 fighters, all taken to modification centers. We must act soon, or there will be no real humans left to save. Lisa made her decision. We are going to hit them, all of us, at the same time. Every resistance cell attacks their local facility. We save our people and find out what they are really doing to us. It was a desperate plan. The resistance had, grown to nearly 500 active fighters worldwide, but they were still badly outgunned. However, Peter's discovery about quantum interference gave them one advantage the aliens did not know about. Peter, how can we maximize the interference effect? The scientist thought for a moment. Fear and anger make it stronger, but the strongest readings I have seen come from humans working together toward a common goal. Determination and hope create the most powerful patterns. Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. Then we give them determination and hope. We show them that humans do not give up, no matter what. As the meeting ended and the resistance leaders made their plans, Lisa felt something she had not experienced since the invasion began. For 3 months, they had been hiding and running and barely surviving. But now they were going to fight back. The aliens thought they understood humans. They thought they could control a species through fear and superior technology. They were about to learn that some things could not be conquered, only temporarily defeated. The resistance was ready to remind the galaxy what happened when humans decided to stop playing defense. In hidden locations around the world, men and women checked their weapons, studied building layouts, and prepared for the most important night of their lives. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something the aliens could never take away. They had each other, and they had hope. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Peter Kane worked by the light of a single LED lamp in the abandoned subway maintenance room. Around him, pieces of alien technology lay scattered across makeshift tables. He had been studying these devices for 2 weeks straight, getting only a few hours of sleep each night. But tonight, he was close to something important. The quantum interference detector he had built was picking up readings unlike anything he had seen before. The device hummed quietly as it analyzed the alien communication module Lisa's team had captured during a raid 3 days ago. Incredible, he whispered to himself. The alien device was not just a radio or computer. It was something much more complex. Every piece of Zephyrian technology was connected to every other piece through quantum entanglement. When one device communicated with another, the signal traveled instantly across any distance, even between star systems. But that was not the most shocking discovery. Peter realized that the quantum network was not just for communication. It was actually connecting the minds of the aliens themselves. The Zephyrian Empire was not just a political organization. It was a living hive mind that spanned hundreds of worlds. A footstep behind him made Peter turn around. Lisa Rodriguez entered the room quietly, carrying a cup of coffee made from their dwindling supplies. "Still working?" she asked, setting the cup next to his equipment. "Lisa, I found something that changes everything." Peter showed her the readings on his screen. The quantum patterns looked like brainwaves, but they were too complex for any individual mind. The aliens are not separate beings like us. Their consciousness is shared across their entire species, maybe across all 6 species in their empire. That is how they coordinate so perfectly. They do not need to send orders or have meetings. They all think together as one mind. Lisa frowned as she tried to understand. So they are like a computer network, but with living beings instead of machines? Exactly. And that is why they fear us. Human consciousness operates on quantum frequencies that interfere with their network. When we are near their technology, we create static in their shared mind. Peter pulled up another screen showing recordings from the past month. Look at this. Every time resistance fighters have attacked alien positions, their response time has been slower than expected. Every time humans gather in large groups, their equipment malfunctions more often. Lisa looked at the data with growing excitement. Are you saying we are already winning without knowing it? We are disrupting them just by existing. But there is more. Peter switched to a different display. I have been monitoring their quantum network. The static we create is not just local. It spreads through their entire system like ripples in water. He showed her a galaxy map with lights representing alien worlds. Some of the lights were flickering. These are star systems where the aliens are having communication problems. The quantum interference from Earth is reaching across space and affecting their operations on other worlds. Lisa stared at the map. How is that possible? Quantum entanglement operates outside normal space and time. Distance does not matter. When we disrupt their network here, the effects appear instantly everywhere in their empire. This was the breakthrough the Resistance had been hoping for. They were not just fighting for Earth. They were accidentally helping other enslaved species across the galaxy. Before Lisa could respond, Tommy Kim came running into the room. The young programmer looked excited and terrified at the same time. Lisa, I cracked their communication system. You need to hear this. Tommy led them to his own workspace, where multiple monitors displayed scrolling alien text with English translations, appearing below. I have been recording their transmissions for weeks. Most of it is routine administrative stuff. But this morning, I picked up something from their high command. He played an audio file. The alien voices sounded distorted through their translation software, but the words were clear. The quantum disruption is spreading faster than predicted, one voice said. 3 more sectors have reported independence movements among subject species. Another voice responded, the human contamination must be contained. Initiate the final solution protocols for Earth. A third voice joined the conversation. What about the modification program? Are we close to eliminating their interference patterns? Negative. The human neural structure is more complex than anticipated. Each test subject produces different quantum signatures. We cannot create a universal suppression method. The recording ended. Lisa and Peter looked at each other with growing horror. Final solution protocols, Lisa repeated. That sounds like they are planning to kill everyone on Earth. Tommy nodded grimly. It gets worse. I found references to something called the Devourers in their older transmissions. The aliens are running from something, and they think they need to collect species with unique mental abilities to defend against it. Peter felt pieces of a larger puzzle clicking together in his mind. They are not just conquering civilizations. They are trying to absorb their consciousness patterns into their hive mind. We are not prisoners. We are potential weapons in some kind of cosmic war. Lisa stood up and began pacing around the small room. How long do we have before they implement these final solution protocols? Tommy checked his notes. Based on their transmission patterns, I would guess 2 weeks, maybe 3. And the modification program? They have processing facilities on orbital stations above Earth. The people they capture are being taken there for experiments. But according to the transmissions, the experiments are not working. Human consciousness is too chaotic for them to predict or control. Lisa felt a mix of pride and fear. Humanity's greatest strength was also making them a target for extinction. We need to get to those orbital stations, she decided. If our people are up there, we have to save them. And if we can capture one of those facilities, we might learn more about what the aliens are really planning. Peter shook his head. How? We do not have any spacecraft. The aliens destroyed our entire space fleet. Then we take one of theirs. The idea was insane, but Lisa had learned that insane plans sometimes worked better than careful ones. The aliens expected humans to behave logically and predictably. They did not expect desperate people to attempt impossible missions. Over the next week, the Resistance prepared for their most ambitious operation yet. Intelligence gathering revealed that the aliens used small shuttlecraft to transport prisoners to the orbital stations. These shuttles landed at a facility built inside the old Cleveland airport. Lisa assembled a team of 12 fighters for the mission. Carlos Martinez volunteered immediately, along with Patricia Bell and 2 former Air Force pilots named Rachel Stone and Bobby Turner. The rest were volunteers from other resistance cells, people who had nothing left to lose. Dr. Peter Kane insisted on joining the mission despite having no military training. "You need someone who understands their technology," he argued. "I am the only person who can operate their equipment." The plan was simple in concept, but difficult in execution. They would attack the shuttle facility during the next prisoner, transport, capture one of the alien craft, and fly it to the orbital station. Once there, they would rescue as many prisoners as possible and gather intelligence about the aliens' long-term plans. Rachel Stone, who had been a test pilot before the invasion, studied every piece of information they could find about alien spacecraft. "Their ships use quantum field manipulation for propulsion," she reported. "The controls should be similar to our computer interfaces, but the physics are completely different." The night before the mission, Lisa gathered her team in the abandoned subway station that had become their base. These people had become her family over the past months. They had shared dangers, losses, and small victories together. "I will not lie to you," she told them. "This mission has almost no chance of success. We are going to attack a heavily defended facility, steal an alien spacecraft, and fly it into space with no training. Most of us will probably die." She looked around at their faces. Every person was scared, but none of them looked ready to quit. "But if we do nothing, everyone on Earth will die anyway. The aliens plan to exterminate us in 2 weeks. This might be our only chance to save our people and learn how to fight back." Carlos spoke up from the back of the group. "What about the quantum interference Peter discovered? Can we use that as a weapon?" Peter nodded. "I have been working on a way to amplify the effect. If we can get enough humans together in one place, focusing on the same goal, the interference should be strong enough to disrupt their technology completely." "How many humans?" "I estimate we would need at least 1,000 people, all concentrating on the same thought at the same time." Lisa smiled. "Then we better make sure this mission succeeds. Because if we can prove that humans can fight back, maybe we can convince 1,000 people to help us." The team spent the rest of the night making final preparations. They checked their weapons, studied the facility layout, and tried to get some sleep. Tomorrow would determine whether the human resistance could evolve from a hidden nuisance into a real threat. As dawn approached, Lisa stood alone in the tunnel, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. 6 months ago, she had been a Marine captain following orders and maintaining EQ. The old Cleveland airport looked different with alien technology covering the runways. Lisa Rodriguez watched through binoculars from a collapsed overpass half a mile away. 3 Zephyrian shuttles sat on the main runway, their dark metal hulls gleaming in the afternoon sun. Alien guards patrolled the perimeter, but there were not as many as she had expected. "Count 12 guards visible," Carlos Martinez whispered beside her. "Probably more inside the control tower." Lisa nodded and passed the binoculars to Rachel Stone. The former pilot studied the shuttles carefully. "The middle one looks different," Rachel said. "Bigger cargo bay, different engine configuration. That is probably the prisoner transport." A convoy of human military vehicles approached the airport. Lisa felt her anger rise as she watched human soldiers guarding trucks full of resistance fighters. These collaborators wore Earth Defense Force uniforms, but they served alien masters now. There, Patricia Bell pointed. Third truck. I can see Maria Santos in the back. Lisa counted 15 prisoners in total, all people she recognized from the Resistance Network. Her friends and allies were about to be taken to the orbital station for genetic experiments. Unless her team could stop it. Remember the plan, Lisa said quietly. We wait until they start loading prisoners. That is when their attention will be focused on the shuttles. Rachel and Bobby take the pilot positions. Peter and I secure the cargo bay. Everyone else covers us and holds the perimeter. The team had spent 3 days preparing for this mission. They had only basic weapons, assault rifles taken from abandoned military depots, a few grenades, and explosive charges Tommy had built from industrial chemicals. Against alien energy weapons and advanced armor, it would barely be enough, but they had something the aliens could not account for. Dr. Peter Kane had built 12 quantum interference amplifiers, small devices that would boost the natural disruption effects of human consciousness. When activated, they should cause nearby alien equipment to malfunction. The prisoner convoy reached the shuttles. Lisa watched as alien guards directed human collaborators to unload the trucks. The prisoners were chained together and looked exhausted. Some showed signs of beatings. Those bastards, Carlos muttered. Lisa checked her watch. The shuttle was scheduled to depart in 20 minutes. Time to move. The team split into 3 groups and approached the airport from different directions. Lisa led the main assault team directly toward the shuttles. Carlos took 4 fighters to attack the control tower. Patricia led the remaining 3 to secure their escape route. At exactly 1500 hours, Lisa gave the signal. Now! The attack began with Tommy's homemade explosives destroying 2 alien guard posts simultaneously. The remaining guards spun around, in confusion as gunfire erupted from multiple directions. Lisa and her team ran straight toward the prisoner transport shuttle. Peter activated his quantum interference amplifiers as they ran. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Alien weapons began firing randomly or not at all. Their communication devices produced only static. Even their body armor seemed to become heavier and less responsive. "It is working!" Peter shouted over the gunfire. "The amplifiers are disrupting their entire local network." Lisa reached the shuttle first and found the boarding ramp already lowered. An alien guard stood at the entrance, trying to aim his malfunctioning weapon at the approaching humans. Lisa shot him twice in the chest and leaped over his body into the shuttle. The interior was larger than she had expected, with 2 levels connected by a narrow stairway. The prisoners were being held on the lower level, while the upper level contained the cockpit and crew quarters. Rachel Stone and Bobby Turner rushed past her toward the cockpit. Both pilots had studied every piece of alien technology they could find, but flying an actual Zephyrian shuttle would be their first real test. "Get these chains off," Lisa ordered, pulling out the bolt cutters they had brought for this purpose. The prisoners looked at her with a mixture of hope and disbelief. Maria Santos was the first to speak. "Lisa, how did you find us?" "Long story. Right now we need to get out of here." As Lisa worked to free the prisoners, she could hear the battle raging outside. Carlos's team had successfully taken the control tower, but more alien guards were arriving from other parts of the facility. They did not have much time. "Lisa," Rachel called from the cockpit, "I need Peter up here. I cannot figure out these controls." Peter ran up the stairs, leaving Lisa to finish freeing the prisoners. The alien chains were made of some kind of energy-resistant metal, but the bolt cutters eventually cut through them. "Can you walk?" she asked Maria. "We can fight," Maria replied, grimly. "Just give us weapons." Lisa smiled and handed her a spare rifle. The other prisoners armed themselves with weapons taken from the dead alien guards. Now they had 18 fighters instead of 12. The shuttle engines began to vibrate as Rachel and Peter figured out the basic controls. Through the windows, Lisa could see Carlos's team falling back toward the shuttle under heavy alien fire. Patricia's group was providing covering fire from the abandoned terminal building. "We need to go!" Bobby shouted from the cockpit. "More alien aircraft incoming from the north." Lisa looked outside and saw 2 Zephyrian fighter craft approaching fast. If they were caught on the ground, the mission would end before it really began. "Everyone aboard!" she yelled. "Carlos, fall back!" The remaining members of the assault team ran toward the shuttle as alien energy beams scorched the runway around them. 2 fighters did not make it. Lisa watched Patricia Bell fall as an alien weapon burned through her chest. A young resistance member named Kevin James was hit in the leg, but kept crawling toward the shuttle until another beam ended his life. Carlos was the last to board, firing his rifle behind him as he backed up the ramp. "Close it up!" he shouted. The ramp sealed shut just as the alien fighters opened fire on the shuttle. Energy beams struck the hull, but the alien craft was designed to withstand such attacks. The shields held. "Rachel, get us out of here!" Lisa called. The shuttle lifted off the runway with a strange humming sound, unlike any Earth aircraft. Through the cockpit windows, Lisa could see the ground falling away as they climbed toward space. The alien fighters followed them, but their weapons seemed less effective now that the shuttle was moving. "The quantum interference is still working," Peter reported from his position at the sensor station. "Their targeting systems cannot lock onto us properly." Lisa felt a moment of hope. Maybe they could actually pull this off. The feeling lasted exactly 37 seconds. As the shuttle cleared Earth's atmosphere, Lisa saw the orbital station for the first time. It was enormous. A dark metal structure the size of Manhattan floating in space above North America. Dozens of smaller ships moved around it like insects around a hive, but that was not the worst part. As they approached the station, Peter's sensors detected something that made his face go pale. "Lisa, you need to see this." She looked at his screen and felt her blood turn cold. The orbital station was not just a prison and research facility, it was a factory. The sensors showed massive production lines inside the station, churning out millions of identical objects. "What are they making?" she asked. Peter worked frantically at the controls, trying to get a clearer reading. When the answer appeared on his screen, Lisa understood why the aliens had been so confident about their final solution. "Nanobots," Peter whispered. "Microscopic robots designed to alter human DNA at the cellular level. They are not planning to modify us one person at a time. They are going to release these things into Earth's atmosphere and change every human on the planet simultaneously." Lisa stared at the screen in horror. The production facility could generate enough nanobots to cover every square mile of Earth's surface. Once released, they would spread through the air and water, finding every human on the planet within days. How long until they are ready to deploy? Peter checked the readings again. The production lines are running at full capacity. Based on the output rate, I estimate they will have enough nanobots for global deployment in 6 days. 6 days. The Resistance had 6 days to stop the complete genetic modification of the human species. Can we destroy the factory? Not with the weapons we have, The station has shields and armor that could withstand nuclear weapons. We would need something much more powerful. Lisa thought about the quantum interference amplifiers. If 12 devices could disrupt alien equipment within a few hundred meters, what could 1,000 devices do? Or 10,000? Peter, could we build more amplifiers? Enough to disrupt their entire operation? In theory, yes, but we would need massive amounts of electronic components and hundreds of people to build them. And we would need to coordinate the activation across the entire planet. Lisa made her decision. They would board the station, rescue as many prisoners as possible, and gather detailed intelligence about the nanobot production process. Then they would return to Earth and prepare for the biggest resistance operation in human history. Rachel, take us to the docking bay. We are going aboard. The shuttle approached the station under the guidance of automated systems that apparently could not tell the difference between their stolen craft and a legitimate transport. The docking bay doors opened, revealing a cavernous space filled with alien technology and human prisoners. As they landed, Lisa looked around at her team. These people had already achieved the impossible. Lisa Rodriguez moved through the alien space station with her rifle ready. The corridors were wide and dimly lit, designed for beings taller than humans. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and the air smelled like metal and chemicals. Behind her, 17 other fighters followed in formation. The quantum interference amplifiers were working better than Dr. Peter Kane had predicted. Alien security systems failed to detect their presence. Door locks opened randomly. Even the artificial gravity seemed unstable in some sections. "This way," Peter whispered, checking a handheld scanner he had built from captured alien technology. "The prison levels are below us. I am reading at least 200 human life signs. They found a transport tube that carried them deeper into the station." Through the transparent walls, Lisa could see the massive nanobot production facility. Robotic arms moved in perfect coordination, assembling millions of microscopic devices every hour. The sight filled her with determination and fear. The prison level was worse than anything she had imagined. Hundreds of humans were kept in small cells, most showing signs of medical procedures. Some prisoners had surgical scars on their heads. Others seemed barely conscious, staring at nothing with empty eyes. "My God," Carlos Martinez breathed. "What have they done to these people?" Peter scanned one of the prisoners with his device. The readings made him step back in shock. "They have implanted neural control devices in their brains. These people are not prisoners anymore. They are test subjects for direct mind control." Lisa felt rage building inside her. The aliens were not just trying to conquer humanity. They were trying to turn humans into biological robots. Can the implants be removed? I do not know. Maybe with proper surgical equipment. But we cannot help them right now. We need to focus on the mission. Lisa knew he was right, but leaving these people behind felt like betrayal. She made a promise to herself that she would return for them. The team continued deeper into the station, looking for the main computer core. Peter believed they could download information about the aliens' long-term plans and maybe find a way to disrupt the nanobot production. They found something much more important. In a restricted section near the station's center, they discovered a communication chamber filled with advanced quantum equipment. Peter immediately began studying the devices while the others stood guard. "Lisa, this is incredible," he called out. "This is not just a communication system. It is the control center for the aliens' entire hive mind network." The chamber contained a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with energy. Cables and conduits connected it to thousands of smaller devices. Holographic displays showed star maps with hundreds of glowing points. Each light represents a world in their empire, Peter explained. And look at this. Some of them are flickering. Lisa studied the display. About 30 of the lights were unstable, blinking on and off randomly. What does that mean? It means the quantum interference from Earth is affecting their network across the entire galaxy. These worlds are losing their connection to the hive mind. Peter worked frantically at the alien controls, his quantum interference amplifier causing the equipment to respond in unexpected ways. Suddenly, new information appeared on the displays. "I am accessing their historical records," he said excitedly. "Lisa, you need to see this." The displays showed images of different alien species. Some looked humanoid, others were completely bizarre. But they all had one thing in common. They were all extinct. The Zephyrian Empire has conquered 47 different species over the past 1,000,000 years, Peter read from the translated text. But they did not just rule them. They absorbed their unique mental capabilities into the hive mind network. Lisa felt a chill as she understood the implications. They are not just trying to control us. They are trying to steal what makes us human? Exactly. Each species they conquered added new abilities to their collective consciousness. The Gravari contributed mathematical thinking. The Nexari added artistic creativity. The Depthhi provided emotional intelligence. Peter scrolled through more records. But something has changed recently. They are running from something called the Devourers, an ancient enemy that consumes entire civilizations. The hive mind system was their way of becoming too complex for this enemy to understand and destroy. New images appeared showing massive, dark ships attacking Zephyrian worlds. The ships seemed to dissolve everything they touched, leaving empty space behind. "The Devourers are coming to this galaxy," Peter continued. "The aliens estimate they will arrive in less than 2 years. That is why they are so desperate to collect new species and perfect their hive mind network." Lisa studied the star map again. If the Zephyrians were fleeing from something even worse, then Earth was caught between 2 different threats to human survival. "Can we use this information?" Peter nodded slowly. "The quantum interference we generate is not just disrupting their technology. It is actually spreading through their network to other worlds. Look at these readings." He showed her data streams from the flickering star systems. Each one showed similar patterns. Enslaved species experiencing independent thoughts for the first time in centuries. We are accidentally freeing other aliens across the galaxy just by existing and resisting. Before Lisa could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and alien voices echoed through the corridors in their strange language. "They found us," Carlos said grimly. "No," Peter replied, staring at his scanner in amazement. "It is not us. It is them." He pointed to the main display, which now showed multiple star systems flashing rapidly. The quantum interference from Earth had reached a critical threshold. Across the Zephyrian Empire, enslaved species were breaking free from mental control simultaneously. "We started a galactic revolution without even trying," Lisa whispered. The alien voices over the communication system became more urgent. Peter worked to translate them. "They are getting reports from all over their empire. Rebellion on the Gravari homeworld. The Nexari have seized control of 3 star systems. The Depthhi are attacking Zephyrian facilities throughout their sector." Lisa felt a surge of hope. Humanity was not alone in this fight anymore. But their celebration was interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps in the corridor. A lot of footsteps. Time to go, Lisa ordered. The team retreated toward the transport tubes, but found their path blocked by Zephyrian soldiers. These aliens were different from the administrators they had seen on Earth. They were larger, wearing advanced armor, and carrying weapons that hummed with deadly energy. "Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick," the lead alien commanded in perfect English. Lisa raised her rifle in response. "Humans, do not surrender." The battle in the space station corridors was unlike anything the Resistance fighters had experienced. The aliens' weapons fired beams of concentrated energy that could cut through metal walls. But the quantum interference amplifiers made their targeting systems unreliable, causing many shots to go wide. Maria Santos, one of the rescued prisoners, proved that the aliens had underestimated human determination. Despite her weeks of captivity and medical experimentation, she fought with the fury of someone who had nothing left to lose. "For everyone they tortured!" she shouted, firing her captured alien weapon with deadly accuracy. The fight moved through multiple levels of the station as the humans tried to reach their stolen shuttle. Behind them, more alien reinforcements arrived every minute. Ahead of them, automated defense systems tried to trap them in corridors that could be sealed and flooded with poison gas. But Peter's quantum interference was growing stronger as more humans gathered together and focused on their shared goal of escape. Alien technology throughout the station began failing in cascading waves. "The amplifiers are feeding off our determination," Peter explained as they ran. "The more desperate we become, the more interference we generate." They reached the docking bay to find their shuttle surrounded by alien guards. But the quantum interference had affected the bay's artificial gravity, causing some of the guards to float helplessly in the air. Rachel Stone and Bobby Turner fought their way to the shuttle's controls, while the others provided covering fire. The engines powered up just as massive explosions began shaking the entire station. "What is happening?" Lisa called out. Peter checked his scanner. "The quantum interference has reached the nanobot production facility. The manufacturing systems are destroying themselves." Through the docking bay windows, Lisa could see sections of the station breaking apart as internal explosions tore through the structure. The aliens' plan to genetically modify all of humanity was literally falling apart. The shuttle launched from the disintegrating station and headed back toward Earth. Behind them, one of the galaxy's most advanced facilities burned in space. But Lisa knew this was just the beginning. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, Tommy Kim's voice crackled over the radio from the Resistance base. "Lisa, you need to get down here fast. We are receiving transmissions from all over the galaxy. Dozens of species are declaring independence from the Zephyrian Empire. And there is something else." "What?" "Long-range sensors have detected massive ships approaching our galaxy from intergalactic space. The Devour Tialan.